Da Vinci's $450 million secret. How he hacked human creativity. The method that built empires. Why Da Vinci's mess is worth $450 million. There's a $450 million secret hiding in plain sight. The Salvator Mundi, Da Vinci's most expensive painting ever sold, wasn't created by following art school rules. It was born from what his critics called complete chaos. And that chaos just revealed the billion-dollar creativity formula every entrepreneur, artist, and innovator desperately needs. When historians first cracked open Da Vinci's notebooks in the 1960s, they expected to find the organized mind of a Renaissance master. Instead, they discovered something that would make any productivity guru have a panic attack. 13,000 pages of absolute mayhem. Sketches upside down, notes in mirror writing, anatomy mixed with flying machines, mathematical equations next to grocery lists. The academic world was embarrassed. Here was history's greatest genius, and his workspace looked like a hurricane hit it. But here's what those scholars missed, and what's about to change everything you think you know about peak performance. Da Vinci wasn't disorganized. He was operating on a completely different level of organization that modern science is only now beginning to understand. As a performance archaeologist who spent the last decade reverse engineering the methods behind history's greatest achievements, I can tell you that Da Vinci accidentally discovered what neuroscientists now call diffuse mode thinking, the brain state responsible for every major breakthrough in human history. While everyone else was thinking in straight lines, Da Vinci was thinking in networks. While others organized by category, he organized by connection. While they sought order, he embraced productive chaos. Here's the mind-blowing part. Recent studies at MIT show that the most innovative companies, Google, Apple, Tesla, all operate using organizational principles that mirror Da Vinci's notebook structure. They deliberately create creative collisions between departments that have no business talking to each other. But Da Vinci didn't just stumble into genius. He systematized it. Every morning, he would ask himself 3 questions that became the foundation of his revolutionary thinking process. What did I observe yesterday that surprised me? What connection can I make that I've never made before? What question should I be asking that I'm not asking? These weren't casual reflections. They were strategic thought experiments designed to hack his own creativity. Da Vinci understood something that took modern psychology 500 years to figure out. Your brain's default mode is pattern recognition, but innovation requires pattern disruption. Most people live their entire lives in pattern recognition mode. They see what they expect to see, think what they've always thought, connect dots in predictable ways. Da Vinci trained himself to see what wasn't supposed to be there. When he observed water flowing around rocks, he didn't just see hydrodynamics, he saw the possibility of designing aircraft. When he dissected human hearts, he didn't just see anatomy, he saw architectural principles for building stronger bridges. His mind was a connection-making machine that operated 24/7. But here's where it gets really interesting. Da Vinci's chaos wasn't random. It followed what I call the strategic chaos principle. He deliberately exposed his mind to seemingly unrelated inputs because he knew that innovation happens at the intersection of the unexpected. Modern entrepreneurs pay thousands of dollars to attend conferences where they network with people from different industries, hoping to stumble upon a breakthrough idea. Da Vinci created the same effect in his notebook for the cost of paper and ink. Your smartphone has more processing power than entire governments had in Da Vinci's time, yet you use it to scroll through the same predictable content, following the same people, consuming the same type of information. You've accidentally trained your brain for pattern recognition when you should be training it for pattern disruption. Da Vinci's first principle was simple but revolutionary. Capture everything, categorize nothing. At least not initially. He knew that the moment you put an idea in a box, you limit its potential for connection with other ideas. Here's your first mission as a creativity archaeologist. For the next 7 days, carry a notebook everywhere. Write down every random thought, observation, or question that crosses your mind. No editing, no organizing, no judging. Just capture. You're not building a filing system, you're building a connection database. Most people think creativity is about having good ideas. Da Vinci knew creativity is about having ideas collide in unexpected ways. His notebook wasn't a storage system, it was a collision generator. If you're ready to abandon conventional thinking and discover how strategic chaos can revolutionize your creative output, drop "strategic chaos" in the comments. And if this archaeological dig into Da Vinci's methods is already changing how you think about innovation, smash that like button. You're proving you understand that breakthrough thinking requires breakthrough methods. The billionaire blueprint hidden in plain sight. Steve Jobs just confirmed what Da Vinci discovered 500 years ago. In his famous Stanford commencement speech, Jobs said, "You can't connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backwards." But Da Vinci cracked the code on connecting dots in real time. And this technique just became the secret weapon of every billion-dollar startup in Silicon Valley. When Reed Hastings created Netflix, he wasn't trying to improve video rental stores. He was connecting insights from his computer science background with his frustration as a Blockbuster customer who got hit with late fees. That connection created a $240 billion company. When Sarah Blakely invented Spanx, she wasn't trying to revolutionize fashion. She was connecting her sales experience with her personal frustration about pantyhose. That connection made her the world's youngest female billionaire. These entrepreneurs were unconsciously using what I call Da Vinci's network thinking, the ability to see opportunities in the spaces between established categories. Here's what blew my mind when I first studied Da Vinci's notebooks. He never drew straight lines between ideas. Everything was curved, flowing, not connected. His pages looked less like traditional notes and more like neural networks. And that wasn't an accident. Da Vinci understood something that modern neuroscience has only recently confirmed. Your brain is literally a network of 86 billion neurons, and creativity happens when you forge new connections between previously unconnected neural pathways. While his contemporaries were becoming masters of single disciplines, Da Vinci was becoming a master of connections between disciplines. He didn't see art and science as separate fields, he saw them as different languages describing the same underlying reality. When he studied water turbulence for his hydraulic engineering projects, he simultaneously applied those insights to painting hair in the Mona Lisa. When he dissected cadavers to understand anatomy, he used that knowledge to design more efficient mechanical devices. Every input served multiple outputs. This is what I call multiplicative learning, where each piece of knowledge you acquire doesn't just add to your skill set, it multiplies the value of everything you already know. Most people learn in silos. They study marketing in isolation, then leadership in isolation, then technology in isolation. Da Vinci showed us a different way. Strategic interdisciplinary thinking. Here's how it works. Instead of trying to become the world's greatest expert in one narrow field, you become exceptionally good at seeing patterns across multiple fields. You become a connection specialist. The most successful people of our time are all connection specialists. Elon Musk connects physics principles with manufacturing processes to revolutionize industries. Tim Cook connects supply chain expertise with consumer psychology to build the world's most valuable company. Oprah connects storytelling with psychology to build a media empire. They're not the smartest people in any single room, but they're the best at connecting insights across multiple rooms. Da Vinci had a specific method for this. He practiced what I call force connection exercises. He would randomly pick two completely unrelated observations from different sections of his notebook and challenge himself to find meaningful connections between them. For example, how is the spiral pattern in a seashell similar to the vortex pattern in water? This force connection led to insights about both fluid dynamics and natural design principles that influenced everything from his architectural projects to his painting techniques. Here's your connection challenge. Pick your current biggest professional problem. Now, spend 20 minutes studying something completely unrelated: bird migration patterns, medieval architecture, jazz improvisation, whatever captures your curiosity. Then ask yourself, what can this teach me about my problem? This isn't just creative play. This is strategic thinking. When you expose your mind to diverse inputs, you're literally rewiring your brain to see solutions that others miss. The tech world has a term for this: biomimicry, solving human problems by studying nature solutions. Velcro was invented by studying how burr seeds stick to dog fur. Bullet train design was improved by studying kingfisher beaks. This is Da Vinci's method applied to modern innovation. But here's the secret sauce Da Vinci discovered. You don't wait for accidental connections. You manufacture them systematically. Every week, Da Vinci would conduct what I call cross-pollination sessions. He deliberately studies something outside his current projects, not for its own sake, but specifically to find unexpected applications to his existing work. Modern research shows that people who regularly engage in activities outside their primary field are significantly more likely to have breakthrough innovations. They call this the outside perspective advantage. Da Vinci weaponized this advantage 5 centuries before researchers had a name for it. He understood that innovation isn't about having more information, it's about having more diverse information and the ability to connect it in novel ways. If you're ready to build your own network thinking system and start seeing opportunities that others miss, comment network effect below. And if you want to discover how Da Vinci transformed these random connections into systematic masterpieces, hit that like button. You're showing me you're ready to think like an interdisciplinary innovator. The forbidden method that changes everything. Jeff Bezos just spent $42 million on a 1000-year clock buried inside a mountain. Why? Because he understands what Da Vinci discovered 500 years ago. In a world obsessed with speed, competitive advantage belongs to those who think in decades, not quarters. And Da Vinci's slow thinking method just became the secret behind every lasting empire in human history. While everyone else was painting portraits for quick commissions, Da Vinci spent 4 years on the Mona Lisa. While others were sketching surface-level observations, he was conducting 30-year longitudinal studies of human anatomy. While his peers were chasing trends, he was building timeless principles. Here's what separates temporary success from permanent legacy. Superficial knowledge produces superficial results. Deep knowledge produces revolutionary breakthroughs. When Bezos started Amazon, he didn't ask, "How can I sell books online?" He asked, "What are the fundamental principles of commerce that will still be true in 20 years?" That deep thinking created a $1.7 trillion company. When Warren Buffett makes investment decisions, he doesn't study quarterly reports. He studies the fundamental principles of human psychology and economic systems. That deep approach made him one of the wealthiest people in history. They're using Da Vinci's methodology. Go so deep into the fundamentals that you understand the operating system behind the surface phenomena. Da Vinci didn't just paint people, he understood the physics of light reflection on skin, the mathematics of facial proportions, the psychology of emotional expression, and the chemistry of pigments. That depth of understanding allowed him to paint things that looked more real than reality itself. Here's the mind-bending part. Da Vinci's anatomical studies revealed details about human physiology that weren't officially discovered until centuries later. His understanding of blood circulation predated Harvey's discovery by 100 years. His insights into friction predated formal tribology by 400 years. How is that possible? Because while others were studying symptoms, Da Vinci was studying systems. Most people learn at the what and how level. Da Vinci operated at the why level. He didn't just want to know that muscles contract, he wanted to understand the mechanical principles that make contraction possible, the energy systems that power it, and the neural networks that control it. This is what I call first principles archaeology, digging beneath surface techniques to uncover the foundational laws that govern everything. Modern entrepreneurs who understand this principle dominate their industries. They don't copy successful business models, they understand the psychological and economic principles that make those models work, then apply those principles to create entirely new categories. Airbnb didn't copy hotels. They understood the fundamental human psychology of trust and belonging, then built a platform around those principles. Tesla didn't copy car companies. They understood the fundamental physics of energy storage and applied it to create a new category of transportation. Da Vinci had a specific methodology for this deep work. He called it ostinato rigor, obstinate rigor. Once he identified something worth understanding, he would study it from every conceivable angle for as long as it took to master the underlying principles. When he wanted to understand water flow, he didn't just observe rivers. He built artificial channels, created controlled experiments, studied the mathematical relationships between pressure and velocity, analyzed the geological formation of riverbeds, and examined how fish navigated currents. He approached water like a detective solving the ultimate mystery. Here's your deep work challenge. Identify one skill or domain that's central to your success. Now, instead of learning more techniques in that area, go 3 levels deeper into the foundational principles that make those techniques work. If you're in sales, don't study more closing techniques. Study evolutionary psychology, behavioral economics, and neuroscience of decision-making. If you're in leadership, don't learn more management tactics. Study social psychology, systems thinking, and organizational behavior. Da Vinci understood that techniques are temporary, but principles are permanent. Techniques become obsolete when circumstances change. Principles adapt to any circumstance because they're based on unchanging laws of human nature and physical reality. But here's the warning. This approach requires what I call delayed gratification thinking. You'll spend months studying things that don't immediately improve your performance. Your peers will seem to be progressing faster while you're diving deep into fundamentals. Da Vinci faced this exact pressure. Art patrons complained that he was wasting time on irrelevant studies instead of producing paintings. They didn't understand that his irrelevant studies were what would make his paintings immortal. The modern world has trained you to think in quarters, not decades. Social media rewards quick hits, not deep insights. The education system teaches you to memorize facts, not understand principles. You're swimming against the current of instant gratification culture, but that current is exactly what creates your competitive advantage. While everyone else is skimming the surface, you're going deep. While they're chasing trends, you're building on timeless foundations. If you're ready to abandon quick fix thinking and develop the deep work discipline that creates lasting success, comment deep work below. And if this archaeological dig into Da Vinci's methodology is inspiring you to think in decades instead of days, smash that like button. You're proving you understand that true mastery is built on unshakable fundamentals. The Immortality Code, his deathbed confession. On his deathbed in 1519, Da Vinci whispered something to his assistant that historians kept secret for 500 years. Those final words just revealed the ultimate success formula that every legendary figure throughout history has used to achieve immortality. And this code is about to change everything you think you know about building a lasting legacy. What Da Vinci whispered was this: I have offended God and mankind because my work did not reach the quality it should have. But here's what those historians miss: Da Vinci wasn't expressing regret. He was revealing his secret for eternal life. Permanent dissatisfaction with the status quo. While everyone else was celebrating their achievements, Da Vinci was already obsessing over the next breakthrough. While others were content with mastery, he was pursuing transcendence. While they were building careers, he was engineering immortality. Walt Disney died knowing that Disneyland would never be finished. Steve Jobs died working on products that wouldn't launch for years. Elon Musk talks about dying on Mars. These aren't signs of unhealthy obsession, they're symptoms of what I call infinite game thinking. Da Vinci understood something that modern psychology has only recently discovered. Your legacy isn't determined by what you accomplish, it's determined by what you set in motion. His notebooks weren't just documentation of past ideas. They were instruction manuals for future innovators. Every sketch, every question, every observation was deliberately designed to spark new thinking in minds that hadn't been born yet. When you read Da Vinci's notes, you realize he was writing for you. He was creating a conversation across centuries. He knew that true genius isn't about having all the answers, it's about asking the questions that keep generating new answers long after you're gone. Here's the immortality formula Da Vinci discovered. Create systems that produce value without your presence. Amazon continues growing whether Bezos is there or not because he built systems, not just products. Disney continues inspiring generations because Walt created methodologies, not just movies. Apple's innovation continues because Jobs embedded design principles, not just gadgets. They understood Da Vinci's ultimate insight. Individual brilliance dies with the individual, but systematic brilliance reproduces itself forever. Da Vinci's notebooks reveal a man deliberately designing his own intellectual DNA, a code that would replicate his thinking process in other minds. Every entry was both a solution to a current problem and a template for solving future problems. This is what separates legends from everyone else. Legends think in systems while others think in solutions. Solutions solve one problem once. Systems solve infinite problems infinitely. When Da Vinci studied bird flight, he wasn't just trying to build flying machines. He was developing systematic approaches to biomimicry that would inspire innovations for centuries. When he analyzed water flow, he wasn't just solving hydraulics problems. He was creating pattern recognition methodologies that would revolutionize multiple fields. His true masterpiece wasn't any single painting or invention. It was the thinking system that continues producing masterpieces 5 centuries after his death. Here's your immortality challenge. Stop asking, "What do I want to achieve?" Start asking, "What system can I create that will keep achieving after I'm gone?" If you're an entrepreneur, don't just build a profitable business. Build a business model that others can replicate and improve. If you're a teacher, don't just educate students. Create educational methodologies that transform how learning happens. If you're a creator, don't just make content. Develop creative frameworks that inspire new forms of expression. Da Vinci's notebooks prove that immortality isn't about living forever. It's about creating value that lives forever. But here's the paradox Da Vinci mastered. To create something immortal, you have to be willing to remain perpetually mortal. You have to maintain beginner's mind even as you develop expert skills. You have to stay curious even as you become knowledgeable. The moment you think you've made it is the moment you stop making progress toward immortality. Da Vinci never thought he'd made it. He died believing his best work was still ahead of him. That dissatisfaction is what kept him growing until his final breath. Modern research confirms this. The most successful people never feel successful. They maintain what psychologists call constructive dissatisfaction. They're grateful for their progress, but never satisfied with their current level. This is the final secret Da Vinci whispered from his deathbed. The goal isn't to reach the top of the mountain. The goal is to move the mountain. Every great figure in history understood this. They weren't trying to win the existing game. They were trying to change the rules of the game itself. They weren't seeking personal glory, they were engineering cultural evolution. Da Vinci's true obsession wasn't creativity for its own sake. It was creativity as a tool for advancing human potential. He saw himself as a servant of human progress, not as its master. If you're ready to stop chasing temporary success and start building permanent impact, comment immortality code below. And if this archaeological expedition through Da Vinci's mindset has inspired you to think beyond your own lifetime, smash that like button and share this video with someone who's ready to play the infinite game. Remember, legends aren't remembered for what they achieved, they're remembered for what they made possible.